One today to turn the camera on. Good stuff. It's good stuff. I've got everybody muted, otherwise you could say hello. All right, guys. Well, welcome. Oh, see, there we go. There we go. You started a movement. Welcome everybody to an art business workshop. My name's Patrick. I run the marketing department today. My voice has just been off for the last week, and so ordinarily I run this whole thing live. So let me give you the agenda for today. I've got like a video up front in which I sort of explain the set of circumstances that I think everyone needs to like understand and sort of nod their head with if you want to make it in this business. And not so obvious, some of them, and I think it'll be really helpful just to see them and just say, okay, I get it. That's one possible way of running this business, of properly monetizing your creative talents. So I'll run a video for that. As soon as that's over, I'll come back live and do all of the Q&A live, take all of your questions live, and we can get into that. As the video rolls along, I'll be mentioning reports and videos and this and that. We'll throw some of those links into the chat. If you like, look at the bottom, if you're like little Zoom bar, and it works whether you're on a phone or on a computer. There's like a chat button, and the chat button pops up like a little window. And so if you have questions as we roll along, you can throw those in there. We'll probably throw some links in there for you. And then once the session ends, we'll jump right into the Q&A, and I'll get into all your questions, which is the most valuable part of these things that I enjoy more than anything else. And it's a very, very exciting time to be contemplating how to best monetize your creative talents, because Q4 is upon us. It starts literally on Friday. Q4 is the fourth quarter, the last 3 months of the year, and traditionally it's when more art and photography is sold than any other quarter all year, sometimes more than several quarters combined. So fantastic time to be taking your career seriously and figuring out ways to, let's be honest, start working on your marketing, which none of you guys are doing consistently. I already know that. I can tell you that already. But let's start with the video, and then we'll get into the Q&A and talk about Q4 and everything else after the fact. So go ahead, April. My name's Patrick. Run the marketing department here at Art Storefront's. Been doing that for about 6 years now, and that means I've been working on solving the problem that is, how do you sell art or photography by best leveraging marketing and digital marketing in particular. And it's an interesting problem to work on. There's not that many, art marketing agencies, for instance, right? Because it's a very, very hard problem to solve. Selling art and photography is not like selling every other item out there. A lot of tradecraft, a lot of nuance to it. In addition to that, I've been running 3 of these sessions since a little bit before the pandemic. So, year and a couple of months now. I don't believe that there's another human being on the planet that talks to more artists and photographers on a week in, week out basis. I have now at this point heard it all, seen it all, niche selection, pricing, sales, Facebook ads, branding, how to negotiate with the galleries, pricing, markup. I have heard and been through all of it over the last year. And in addition to that, we have like a little bit over 5,500 customers now. And one of the things that we do a great deal of is studying the ones that sell the best, and studying quite in depth. For instance, who's capturing the most emails? How are they doing that? Excuse me. Who is the best on Facebook? Who is the best on Instagram? What are they posting? What kind of activity are they getting there? Who is selling the most art, period? Who is selling the most classes? Who is selling the most originals? Who's selling the most commissions? Metal prints, canvas prints. And you do all of that collectively. And why am I bringing all of this up? I think I can help you. I think today's Q&A after I'm done with the presentation can be insanely valuable. I think if you're struggling with something, I probably have a solution that can put you on the path. And I mean that in the biggest non-sales pitch way ever. I don't care if you ever do business with Art Storefronts, if you ever become a customer. I want the session to be valuable. I want to try to get you on a path to growing your art business to where you want it to be. I honestly believe that I can help you. So the Q&A will happen sort of after the presentation, and love for you to think about whatever questions you have, whether you've never sold your art before and you're just trying to get into it, whether you had robust sales pre-pandemic and the pandemic crushed you, whether you're struggling with a question of niche selection, what style should you be doing, or you're struggling with how to price your work, or you're struggling with how to get attention to your work, which, let's be honest, 100% of you guys are struggling with that. Every single solitary artist and photographer is struggling with that. But point being, Have your questions ready, and we'll get into the Q&A after the fact. But I want to start with sort of this new concept that I've come up with, and I call it the art selling pyramid. Okay, and I sort of stole it from Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I don't know if you've seen this pyramid, right? But in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, um, you've got the physiological needs at the bottom, right? And the concept of the pyramid is you have to sort the blocks on the bottom before you can even contemplate sorting the blocks on the top. And the physiological needs are first, right? We have to eat, we have to sleep, we have to do that daily. That has to happen every single solitary day before we can even contemplate working on safety and shelter and money. And then you go up the thing and it's love and belonging and esteem and self actualization. You can become a great person and all of that jazz. So let me give you the art selling pyramid, okay? Borrowed from Maslow. Same thing, pyramid, got to sort the bottom blocks, up we move. And the bottom block, the first block is attention. And I know, without equivocation, that every single solitary person on this Zoom call has an attention problem. What is attention? It is the eyeballs that you need to be able to sell your work. It is people knowing who you are, seeing your work, interacting with you. And we live in a, in a world right now where attention is the currency of the land. It's not dollars, it's attention. You have the attention, you can do anything. Without it, you're not in the game. Does the best art that's being created get sold? No. The best art that's being created that gets seen gets sold. And attention is every single solitary one of our problems. And just like in Maslow's pyramid, you have to sort it daily. You have to be working on getting more of it daily. It is no different than eating and sleeping. And I look at this little pyramid, and a perfect way for me to explain it. Do you know who some of the most powerful women, not just in the United States, are, but in the entire world are? It's the Kardashians. You want to know why? They have attention. Okay. Any one of those women, any of those surgically enhanced women, could decide to start painting stick figures tomorrow and sell $35 million worth of art in the first year. Why? Because they have attention. Okay. They understood what the currency of the land is. When you have the attention, you can do anything. Attention comes in two forms: rented and owned. Rented are YouTube subscribers and Instagram fans and Facebook followers, any social media followers you have on any of those sites. Why is it rented? It's rented because you don't own it. They can change the rules at any time. Still very important, but it's rented. The other kind of attention, the owned attention, really email addresses, most importantly. Secondarily, snail mail. And for some people that do text message marketing, it's phone numbers. But you have to work on building your attention day in, day out. It is a quotidian job. And ultimately, it's the biggest problem that every single solitary one of you on here have. Some of you think you have a website problem. Some of you think you have a pricing problem. Some of you think you have a problem negotiating with galleries. You can't even have any of those problems until you solve the attention problem. The attention problem is the whole ball game. And when you understand it, you start getting intentional. You start working at it. It is no different than eating and sleeping. What did you do to acquire more attention for your work today? If you're not working on that, then you can't even have any of the other problems. Next block. Okay. After we solve the attention situation, we're working on it. It's a constant battle. It never ends. The outside of this block is number 1 and 2 here, and then I'm going to get into the block. Number 1 is the business model. Okay. I believe that an artist or a photographer, if they want to build a successful business, has to understand the business model. The business model is selling direct, by which I mean you, the artist, the photographer, selling directly to your end customer. You retain the data on your end customer such that you are able to market to that customer in perpetuity. Many people, the way that the industry worked traditionally forever, it was people that did not retain this information. They sold through galleries, or maybe they did the show in their circuit, but they weren't the best at keeping up with these people and marketing to them in perpetuity. I got this book that I cite all the time, and it's by Weiland. Weiland is the whale guy. Okay, and don't worry, I'm going to send you links to this. But he wrote this book. He sells it directly on his website. He's depending on who you talk to, he's the #1 selling artist in the entire United States, probably even the world, to be honest with you, because of his business model and what he's done. And he talks in that book about this concept called a collector list. Okay, and for Weiland, a collector list are buyers of his art that sell or that buy in upwards of 7+ pieces over the course of a lifetime, and he treats this collector list like VIP. They are his collectors might as well be staying in the Four Seasons. He reaches out. He gives them special access to things. He likes their social media posts, and he continues to build that list. Okay, and fundamentally, it is one of the single solitary most important things any art or photography business can have. Collectors surface, you market to them in perpetuity, your prices continue to go up, they go along for the ride. Some of these people will buy in upwards of 20 and 30 and 40 pieces throughout the course of your life. And if you are not building that list, it's sort of like you're working a job and you're not putting any money away in a retirement account. It's almost like a 401k that just pays every single solitary year. And I can go into some detailed examples, but the goal is you come out with a new series. You have a show, right? Whether it's a photographic series or it's the series that you painted. You'll start out, and your collector list will maybe buy 2% of the show or 5% of the show, and your goal is just to build that list such that the percentage of the work that they buy goes up and up and up. And I've seen customers that I've worked with recently where 40 to 50% of the show is bought before anyone even sees it by their collectors, just gone. So you created 20 pieces, 10 are gone instantaneously because you have been cultivating a collector list, because you understand the business model. Okay. And it is, I mean, we're going to get into it, but it is so fundamental. And I've been doing this for a long time now. Okay. I've talked to a lot of people, and it breaks my damn heart because on a regular basis, people are coming on these calls. Okay. And they're in their late 40s, late 50s, late 60s, late 70s. They are at the top of their game. They have honed their craft to the greatest it's ever going to be. And guess what? They didn't understand the business model. And guess what? They didn't keep a collector list. And so guess what? The pandemic hit and all their offline revenue sources, poof, are gone. And they're coming on this call and they're going, Patrick, and this is how I envisioned it. They had the corner office, floor to ceiling windows, the giant executive desk, the big leather chair. And I'm telling them, I'm sorry, you're out of there and you have to go back to the mailroom and you're pushing the cart because you did not cultivate this list. Okay. You did not keep a collector list. You did not work on your marketing. You did not understand the business model. What do you have now? You have nothing. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Wait the pandemic out? Like half the galleries are closed. The ones that are still open are renegotiating the split from 50-50 to 60-40 because they have 100 different artists that they want to pick from. Go back on the show and their circuit. That's wonderful. That does not pay if it's not at 100% attendance. How long is it going to take for the show and their circuit to get back to 100% attendance? We don't know, but it's not going to be instantaneous, right? So really, really passionate about the business model. Really, really passionate about the collector list. I think the minute you understand that, boy, are you in a great place. Boy, are you in a great place. You're building it. It takes time. Okay. That's the outer shell. The inside of the block, 3 ways to sell art. There are 3 ways to sell art. Okay. Every single solitary artist, my argument, and photographer needs to understand the 3 ways to sell art and needs to be applying them in their business. Number 1, best way to sell art. Trick question of sorts. Everyone knows the best way to sell art. It's in person, face to face. It always has been. It always will be. Okay. In person, face to face is the best way to sell art. Anytime you have the ability, my voice is just going weird today. Anytime you have the ability to sell art that way, you do that. Problem, we are all of us geographically fixed on this planet. We all have to sleep. We can't have 15 conversations at once. So the third way to sell art, and I say third because it's the least important, is via your website. You absolutely have to have a website. The website solves for these problems when you're asleep, 15 people at a time, and for many of the geographic problems. The second way to sell art, okay, the newest way to sell art, the one the entire art selling world is trying to figure out right now, the greatest advancement in selling art since forever is exactly what we're doing right now. It is selling art via live video in either a one-to-one fashion or a one-to-many fashion. A one-to-one fashion, I go to Antonio's website. Antonio, these pieces are very interesting. What is that one behind you? I would like to buy it. Can we talk about it? Antonio goes, Patrick, no problem. Let me set up a Zoom call with you. I'll show you a couple of pieces and we can talk about it. I can get to know you. That is the one-to-one fashion. The one-to-many fashion, okay, which is mega interesting as well, is this concept of a live art show, okay? And what am I doing? There we go. So I have a couple examples of this I'm going to show. This is a painter in his garage studio. He has some works that he's trying to sell. He is streaming this to Instagram. He is streaming this to Facebook. He's streaming it to YouTube. He is holding the works up. He's talking about them. People can leave comments. They can purchase them. This is one particular type of these sales. This is a customer and a good friend of ours named Matthew Locke. We've run a number of these different initiatives with him. In addition, okay, to this concept of doing it in your studio, what happens if you have an actual show? He had an actual show in the middle of the pandemic. Now, attendance was limited. Now, a bunch of people couldn't travel, so the attendance of the show was light. He still sold a bunch of stuff. The day after the show, what do? We turn the cameras on. He grabs a glass of wine, wears this ridiculous sleeveless shirt. I always make fun of him for the sleeveless shirts. I can't help it. I think it's funny. And what is he doing? He's walking through the show, and you notice people are leaving comments. We're highlighting the comments. He's walking through the show. He's explaining each of the pieces. Okay. So my point in showing this is the new, and I've got another one here too. I can rattle through so many examples of this. It's crazy, but this is absolutely the future of selling art. It is the next best way. And when we contemplate, let me mute this, but I'll just give you something to stare at while I rant here. You know, if selling art in person, face to face, is the best way to sell art, then okay, everything that we do digitally tries to get as close as possible to that. Okay. And what would be the ideal way to sell art? Let's just say it's an art gallery that you have, that you own in your hometown. Okay. People can come in, they can get to know you, have a conversation, they can buy the art. For all the people that can't geographically do that, the next best way is this via live video. Again, one-to-one or one-to-many, a group show, right? And it's so close to the real thing. It's amazing. You don't have to leave your hometown. They get to know you. They get to interact with you. They feel like they have a bond with the artist. It is the future, full stop. And what's interesting is the entire world is trying to figure this out right now. Okay. The entire art selling world is trying to figure it out. Your industry doesn't have a lot of reports. There's two big ones, okay? There is the Art Market 2021 report. They do one of these each year. It's from Art Basel and UBS. I'm going to send you links to the report. I want you to read it. It's amazing. It's incredible. The disclaimer on it is these guys report on the top 1% of the art selling market, right? Like the highest of the high end, the Sotheby's, I always forget the other ones. Sotheby's and I can't remember what the other one is. Anyway, the top auction houses in Christie's, the top auction houses and the top art selling dealers and the top galleries and stuff. But the report is still very, very relevant. Okay. And the link we'll send you. You can download the entire report, which I recommend you do. I think you'll find it really insightful. But they have these key findings too, which is like this snazzy little web page they built to talk about it. And so I can go in here, I can explore this thing. We've got some lovely little graphs. But you read this report and what they call it, and I'll quote, Chapter 5 looks at the online art market and the rapid evolution in sales in 2021. The chapter shows how the dealer sector shifted sales online in 2020 and the development of online viewing rooms, OVRs. Do you know what online viewing rooms are? A snooty way to talk about a Zoom call, okay? A snooty way to talk about exactly what we are doing right here, right now. So this is the future of how to sell art in an incredible fashion. I always feel like a bit of a Yahoo to share numbers, but I'm going to share numbers because it's going to give this whole entire thing some teeth, okay? So Matthew Locke, longtime customer, great friend, normally does the full dog and pony gallery shows. In the middle, so this was on June 9th, 2020. He did 2 of these over a 15-day period. He sold 62 pieces for a little bit over $30,000 Canadian. From his basement, no 50-50 split, direct, didn't have to leave. This is his garage studio. It's where he paints. Didn't even leave his living room. This gal, Meg, also a customer, she was moving studios, legitimately moving studios from one studio to another. This was about a month ago that we ran this. And, just to underscore my collector list, okay? This particular sale was teased on a Friday. On Monday, she emailed her collector list. Her collector list bought 46% of the show. She sold a little bit less than, I think, 76 different pieces for $15,000. Now, the pieces in this particular show were like the color studies, right? They weren't like the full buttoned up pieces. I'm trying to get to one where she's actually holding one. There were color studies, there were sketches, there were smaller works, right? Stuff that was just involved in it. But the point is, this is absolutely the future. It is such an incredible way to sell art and photography. The entire world is trying to figure it out. You get people using various different, at the snooty end, it's OVRs, online viewing rooms, or the art fairs and shows that are trying to keep the booth deposits. What's their line that they love? We're going to have a virtual art show, right? Everyone is trying to figure this out right now. I do not know what floor this particular elevator is going to go to. My guess is it's going to go very, very, very high. What I'm saying is right now, this elevator is on the ground floor and the doors haven't even closed yet. The whole world's trying to figure this out. And there is so much tradecraft to it. I can't even begin to tell you. This particular Zoom call, I have all you guys in a Zoom call right now, right? This is also being streamed to 2 YouTube channels, to a Facebook channel, to Twitter, all at once, all simultaneously. Everyone is trying to figure this out, and it is the most effective way to sell art, period. And so, step one is becoming aware of it. Step two is starting to practice it and put it into practice. And I guarantee you, there's probably not a single solitary person on this call that is doing it. And people ask, what is it that you do at Art Storefronts? We teach our customers how to sell art and photography in the most advanced ways possible. And because I don't care, 90%, I tell people these things, 90% of the people will never, ever even do it. So I don't even care to give away the tradecraft. I'll give away the tradecraft right now. So my sleeveless associate here, Matthew, is using wireless Apple AirPods connected to his iPhone, which has this stream going out live on Instagram. We are leveraging software that is streaming it, that's putting in this little title here, right? And his logo and the banner at the bottom to inquire, and it's pulling the comments in. So cell phone, earpods connected to Instagram on the phone, laptop, computer, Facebook, personal Facebook, YouTube account, all of that goes down all at once simultaneously. And you can see there's numbers here if the number 2 thing goes away. He's even got little numbers here. Why? Because the people on Instagram can't see the graphics that we have on the screen. And so they need to know, okay, was that number 2 or number 3? You can't really see it, but it's like right behind here. There's like a little thing. Yeah, there it is. See, number 5. And we're on number 5. So everyone knows there's a million little things like that. What is the best combination of the technology? How do you announce it? What do you do during the course? And don't worry, I'm going to send you guys, I'm going to send you these shows after the fact so you can watch them and pick up what you like. But this is absolutely the future, you guys, and it is completely changing the game. And you don't need to leave your house, and there are no booth fees, and there's no loading up the car and driving somewhere and staying in some crappy hotel and eating crappy food and then hoping you're going to see an ROI. There is no limit to the amount that you can run. It is the most beneficial use, highest ROI use of an artist or photographer's time I could even imagine right now. It's not even close. And again, whole world's trying to figure it out. So those are the 3 ways to sell art. I got to get back to my pyramid. Bear with me. You have to be running all 3, and you have to be doing all 3 consistently all year long. So we start by constantly gathering attention. We start by recognizing the business model, collector list, as well as the 3 ways to sell art. Then we get to the top of the pyramid, which is everything else. What do I mean everything else? You have a brick and mortar gallery that's working out for you, that's bringing in revenue to your business. Fantastic. We love revenue. I have never met a revenue source I don't like. Keep it going. But it's in addition, okay? Not in lieu of working on attention, not in lieu of working on the 3 ways to sell art and building your own collector list. What if it's an online gallery? Maybe it's Saatchi or Fine Art America or Redbubble or Etsy or any of the others. Is it bringing in revenue? Fantastic. I've never met a revenue source I don't like, but it's in addition to everything else, okay? It's in addition to getting your own attention. It's in addition to the 3 ways of selling art. So too, if you're doing the show and fair circuit, we love the show and fair circuit. It's fantastic. I can't wait for it to come back. It is a great way to build attention, but it's in addition to those 2. You understand this pyramid, okay? You start working on this pyramid, and you are going to be on the path towards building a successful art or photography business. You don't, and you don't control the rules. You do not control the stakes. You can have the rug ripped out from underneath you at any point in time, which I've seen again and again and again on these calls. And one of the things that no one talks about, okay, and does not get mentioned enough. 3 of these a week for a year and a half, okay? It's not hyperbole. That many of them. Every single solitary week, there are people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and I would say once every 2 weeks, somebody in their 90s comes in on these calls asking questions. And so why do I bring that up? Understand the perspective of how long you guys are going to be artists and photographers selling your art or photography, okay? You guys don't go through midlife crises. doesn't happen to creatives. You don't decide all of a sudden you're going to stop being a painter and you're going to go rent jet skis in Florida for the summer and that's going to be your job, okay? So when you have the perspective figured out that you are going to be working at this for the rest of your life into your 90s in many cases, it underscores how important it is to understand this pyramid, to start working on this pyramid. And guess what? It's not going to be easy at first if you're just getting started. It's going to be a pain in the butt. I'm looking at Rick there, and Rick, if you have not been building that list the entire time, when I'm telling you have to learn how to email market and social media market, and you need to start doing it on a regular basis, that could be frustrating, but it's not frustrating when you got another 25 years of growth in this doggone business. So what does Art Storefronts do at the end of the day? We teach you how to do the pyramid. Yeah, we give you a website. And yeah, we put you into a university where there's no graduates because the learning never stops. That's really, in a nutshell, who we are, what we do. All right. Thank you for listening to that, indulging me, not making me do that live. There's like a maxim that applies to investing, right? And the maxim goes, you don't have to get a whole lot right as long as you don't get a whole lot wrong. And the idea is that if you start investing when you're young for retirement and you put a certain consistent amount of money away every year and you don't make risky investments and pick crazy stocks and do any of that type of nonsense, then give it enough time, 30 years, a nice time horizon, you're going to do fine. You're going to have plenty of money for retirement. My contention that pyramid, if you want to be successful in this business and you want to be successful in this business over the long term, you don't have to get a whole lot right as long as you don't get that pyramid wrong. As long as you don't get that pyramid wrong. And, don't take it cynically. You don't have to be an Art Storefronts customer to get that pyramid right. Okay? You don't have to do business with us. This can be the last time you're even going to hear of us. But don't leave this presentation thinking that you don't have a marketing problem. And don't leave this presentation thinking that you can make it in this business long term by not selling direct. And don't leave this presentation thinking that you can make it in this business selling direct, but not taking care of your collector list, okay? All of those things are so fundamentally important to setting the rules, okay? To controlling your own destiny, to putting yourself in a position where you can't have the rug ripped out from underneath you for any reason whatsoever. It is so, so, so important. And again, the perspective, do not ever underestimate the perspective. There's going to be people on this call everywhere from their 30s to their 80s usually. And you have a lot of time left to get that thing right. And not only when you get it right, the business is actually growing year over year over year. Instead of maybe you have a good year, then you have a terrible year, right? And then maybe COVID happens and you're completely stuck on the sidelines. So a pyramid really, really is important. It is absolutely fundamental to making it. So don't tie an arm behind your back. Follow that pyramid, and you don't have to get a whole lot right as long as you don't get a whole lot wrong, right? And stretch that over time. It works. So on that note, we open it up to Q&A. You can ask questions a whole bunch of different ways. If you're one of the brave ones that turns the camera on right now, Joseph, you're the only brave one. And I'll introduce Joseph in a second. He's not going to ask any questions. He usually answers them. But if you raise your hand, we'll see that you have your hand raised. If your camera's on, you can do that. Otherwise, if you look at the bottom of your little Zoom screen, there's a reactions button. And it's the little smiley face with a plus sign. And what that'll allow you to do is raise your hand. You can see I just did it. And that allows you to raise your hand digitally speaking and then lets us know, hey, you've got a question. So we can unmute your mic, bring you on, and you can ask your questions. If you don't want to turn your camera on, you don't have to turn your camera on, okay? I hate being on video. I totally understand not wanting to be on video, so you can do audio only. If you want to just throw your questions in the chat, you can totally throw your questions in the chat. And also, if you're one of the ones watching on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, we see your comments too, and we're happy to answer those as well. It can be about anything that we do at Art Storefronts. It can be the number one thing that you are struggling with in your business right now. It can be you coming to terms with the fact that you have a marketing problem, and if you don't fix a marketing problem, your business will never grow. I love those questions. It can be anything about pricing or any of our standard plans. Joseph is with me. Joseph runs our outreach team here at Art Storefronts. Welcome, Joseph. Introduce yourself.
Hey, Joseph. Glad to be here. Welcome, everybody. And yeah, excited to hear your questions, get you some answers, and yeah, just hear more about what's going on with your art business and tell you all about us.
Awesome. And yeah, as a final you know, I'm very passionate about this session being valuable for you. You guys hopefully leaving with some steps that you can take today to help you grow your business. We have an unfair advantage of this business in the sense that we have 5,500 customers and we get to see how much art and photography that they sell. And so what you do when you're in that situation, you only look at the ones that are successful. And then you only find out what the ones that are successful are doing. And then you look at the price points and you look at how much they're selling on a monthly basis. And you look at how many different subject materials do they have and how often are they running a sale. And where's their traffic coming from? Is it coming from their emails? Is it coming from SEO? Is it coming from Pinterest? It's not coming from Pinterest. I've never seen anyone make a dime off Pinterest. So we have some insights that I think can help you out about where to spend your time, about what to stay focused on, and all the rest. But we'll start today with Charles. Charles Goodfellow. It sounds like you should be writing novels or something with this name, because this name, I mean, this name's got like old English, like aristocracy written all over it. Charles Goodfellow. I mean, I just dig it. I dig it. What's up, Charles?
Hi. Yes, yeah, you've caught me out. I'm from the UK.
Yeah.
So hopefully there's not too much of a time lag.
No, that's good. That's good.
But I agree. I think video is the way forward.
Yeah.
Having that one-to-one personal connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that has to be the future.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, Charles, we're not the only ones that are like, you know, screaming that from the rooftops, right? Like, there is not a single solitary VC venture capitalist out here in California where I am that doesn't have an investment right now in, call it, video enabled commerce or video assisted commerce, right? You can sign up right now on Amazon to run your own QVC show. I don't know if they have QVC in the UK, but that's like, you know, home shopping network, like where, you know, somebody's like on a counter and they're like selling products. Anyone can do that with Amazon right now. Facebook is beta testing live art sale, not live art sales, but live sales with makeup influencers, in which you're on the phone, you click one button, it goes through. There's 15 different apps in the App Store right now that are all trying to be the next whatever of whatever, right? There's one that's like for antiques that's exploding right now. There's one for collectibles that's exploding right now. And the point is, like, when you're in the trenches in your marketing, if the sale of your creativity, are you a painter or are you a photographer?
I'm a artist,
you're just an artist.
So a magnetic artist.
Okay. Well,
so it's magnetic castings is the way I should describe it.
Magnetic casting.
Natural phenomenon.
Okay. So there is a sales cycle for the sale of your magnetic castings, right? And let's just say under normal communication, it's a 1-year sales cycle. When you include video, it's just a catalyst that gets poured in the chemical reaction that is the sales cycle, and it increases the efficiency. It speeds up the time, right? So trust me, you're on the right track. And by the way, I ate my own dog food. Run 3 of these a week and then do like 15 other live broadcasts. And it's not because I like being on video, Charles. I hate it, but it is just so damn effective. So that's what I'd say.
Can I ask a very specific question?
Please. For sure.
So the way that I'm selling my art at the moment is sequentially priced.
Okay.
The first piece of art is £1 because obviously we're in the UK.
Yep.
The next one is £2, £3, £4, so on. Using your platform, would I be able to have all my stock available so collectors could have a look at the art, and then there's only one price, and then they all automatically update to the next value?
That is just a damn good question. I have not heard of a single solitary person doing that. There's this concept of a Dutch auction. Have you ever heard of that, by the way?
I have, but I wouldn't be able to tell you the details.
It's sort of a similar pricing trigger, right? So I don't know. I don't think our software would do that automatically, but it's actually pretty easy to change because you get the email, right? You get the email. Congratulations, Charles, on your order, right? And then you just log into your dashboard and you go next price, right? You would just have to raise it like that. Yeah, to be honest with you, I've not. It's really interesting just to hear you pitch that because I've not heard of any. Joseph, have you heard anybody doing that sequential selling? It's great.
No, I mean, I've heard of it for like limited editions, and they'll do so many at a price and then bump it up.
Yeah.
For the next, but I've never seen like every single one going up. So yeah, I mean, you'd get a notification, you'd know you had a sale, and you could go change it, but it wouldn't automatically do it for you with our system.
Do you know what else, Charles? I love the psychology of it. Do you know how many artists and photographers are terrified of raising prices? Terrified. Maybe this is how we can fix it. After you sell one, it just automatically goes up. You don't even have to do anything. You have no control. Oh, that would be so helpful psychologically. I can't even begin to tell you. Oh,
It does help me. So the whole
yeah,
pricing concept is a mute point for me. I
yeah,
don't even have to think about it.
yeah.
It's all very new for me. So currently I'm on price, I think it's 28
£28.
is where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using PayPal at the moment. So
Okay.
I'm using a Wix platform.
Okay.
And on Wix, there's PayPal, and you can sort of update the prices. But it's very manual, and it doesn't look very professional when someone purchases a piece of art and they can still see the next person can buy it for £27 or something,
Yeah,
which is what they've just purchased it for. And it just doesn't sort of look very professional. So I'm trying to find my solution to achieve that.
yeah.
As well as this video concept, which is just brilliant.
Oh, which is just brilliant. Period. Yeah, and you know what I would say is like everyone, in myself included, thousands of times. It's like, okay, I need to go figure out a technological solution that will help me do this. Do you though? No. Do it manually until you can't handle it. Until literally the sales are coming in so thick and fast that then you need to solve it. Then it's a problem. Until then, Charles, you have a marketing problem like the rest of us. Okay? You don't have a technology problem. Like, that's fine. 30 years down the line, it's like, that dock is not big enough for my yacht. Tell you what, Charles, get the yacht first, and then we'll worry about the size of the dock, right? And I promise I'm not having a go at you. Like, I've done that my entire career. But yeah, I would not worry about it one iota until like you get 5 people complaining about it. Like, hey, no, you got to honor that price. You know, it was £250. That's what it said. I bought it. It's not my problem. Then worry about it, because it'll be an easy fix at that point.
At what point do you break even on the cost of the materials? I guess, like, what price do you got to get to like start making a profit? That's my question.
I'm only starting to get to the point where I'm maybe actually making, well, to be honest, when you put in that's the materials is where I'm about breaking even at the sort of 28 mark.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But as soon as you put time into it, and I'm making wooden boxes to actually put the 3D magnetic art castings into a box.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole thing is very laborious. However, I see it more as a way of getting exposure.
Mm-hmm.
So people buy them, people see them, people hopefully will then hear about it, see it. For me, I want my artwork to be placed in toilets, because I think that's the best time where people contemplate and look at art.
Mm-hmm.
And then will come out of the toilet and say to their friends, where'd you get that piece from? So yeah, I don't know.
yeah. Classic. And everybody loves a good bathroom sale. You know what I mean? I'm not kidding. Like, the bathroom sale is a thing, right? Like, you know, you're like, hey, we actually like have an entire bathroom sale playbook. And I'm not kidding.
Oh, do you actually?
Oh, swear to God. Playbooks for us are like step-by-step tactical guides to how to go through a whole entire sales process. And when you think about it, we all have bathrooms. Okay, maybe you guys have loos or water closets, whatever you want to call them. But you need small artwork in there, right? They're all pretty small. They're not huge. And so you get a bunch of small pieces and you run a bathroom sale. It's actually genius. I'm not kidding. So that's the stuff you need to worry about, Charles, is our sales. So,
and maybe some QR codes on those boxes while they're in there. They can just kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Maybe that should be actually on the canvas of the artwork.
There you go. You're already at 29. There you go.
Anyway, I'll do a pitch. It's attaincollection.co.uk. So if you do feel like having a look,
throw it in the chat. Throw it in the chat.
Yeah, toss it in there.
We're invested now. I'm sure all kinds will want to take a look.
Great. Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks, Charles. All right. Mark, you're up next. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, thank you. This is not my first time being at one of your webinars here. I think what you say is absolutely true.
Oh, thank you.
And my challenge is getting my wife, who's the artist, to buy into the concept of investing in the sale of her art, because she doesn't necessarily believe it's sellable. But some of her stuff would be really good on more than just the flat art, but going on mugs or on T-shirts, all sorts of paraphernalia. Is that available through your platform and fulfillment?
Oh yeah, all of it. Well,
okay,
we should qualify it. calendars. And by the way, we just got the killer calendar upgrade in which they can come onto your site. I love this feature, so I'm going to brag about it. They can come onto your site, and calendars is a big thing, by the way. You wouldn't think it in the digital world that we live in, but it's actually still a big thing. And what used to happen with calendars is you would have to order like 1,000 of them, and you better get selling them right away because they're a ticking time bomb, right? Because the minute you get to like January and December is already done and you still have 500 of these calendars left or 150, you can potentially lose them in a huge disaster. We now have calendars that start whatever month that they purchase them, and they can design them with their own pictures themselves, which I think is really cool. But anyway, we've got calendars, puzzles, shirts, tote bags, pillows. What am I missing, Joseph? Coffee cups, iPhone cases, Android cases. What else?
Mugs.
Lots. Is that on the website?
Yeah, all of it's on
that list. Okay, I look at the emails and I find you very interesting, Patrick. And so again, I'm going to stay on trying to get my wife to just let me become her manager, get into the website and manage what I think is marketable in a variety of ways. She's eclectic. Yep. The website that you provide, it's not like Wix. Wix, I find, is difficult to get optimized, for search engine recognition.
No, you don't need any search engine recognition. That's nonsense. I mean, I'll stop you right there. Wix is inferior in a lot of ways, but only because Wix is designed to do about 999 different things. It's a Swiss Army knife. Ours is just designed to sell wall art, so it's not really a fair comparison in that capacity. But SEO is nonsense. It is a waste of an artist and/or photographer's time. You do not need to spend any time stressing about it. You don't need to spend any time thinking about it. It's not going to move a consistent amount of art for you. Nobody, everyone thinks, number one, let me just start at the very beginning. Marketers ruin everything, okay? They always have, they always will, right? We ruined SEO about 18 years ago, okay? Now, it is so far ruined, I can't even begin to tell you. There's nothing there left, okay? There's no there. It doesn't help anybody. It's not going to get any sales for you. There are not a bunch of people searching Google trying to buy art that go and buy art. Out of 1,000 art sales that happen, maybe one of them starts with a Google search where they're like, I would like a photograph of the whale for this bathroom. Maybe one starts that way. The other 999 don't start that way. They might find you, then they might follow you, and then a year later it might sell, but you don't need to do SEO. It just doesn't move a tremendous amount of art. You do have to do Facebook. You do have to do Instagram. They're insanely visual platforms, and that's where all the action comes from. But to go back to the merchandise, because I'm gonna pull it up and show it. Let me see. Did I screw something up? Let me see if I can do it. Okay. I promise I'm not going to show you the pyramid again. You don't have to get a whole lot right, but you do have to get that pyramid right. All right, let's see what he's got on his. You know what's funny is like some people love the merch, some people hate the merch. Okay, and I used to think like, and there's multiple ways to do the merch, right? You can do it right in your same product page. Like here's your watercolor paper, here's your canvas, here's your metal, here's your wood, here's your acrylic, here's your hoodie, right? Here's your t-shirt, here's your tank top, right? Like you can do it all on the same site. But you know what's funny? Like the people that push back against merch and say like merch is cheesy, I would just say, visit Charles's home country there and tell me any of those museums, including the British one, where there is not a gift shop in the museum. Okay, there is always a gift shop in the museum. You want to know why? Because it is an extremely effective way to increase the AOV of a session, average order value. So it doesn't matter if you do merch in a gift shop capacity. Oh, I'm not even screen sharing. Why don't you guys tell me? It doesn't matter if you do merch in a gift shop capacity or you have it like right here in like your same product way. The way that I look at it, it's just another way to attempt to monetize your creative talents. That's it, right? And it's like, yeah, I understand that it's not going to be as much as a large gallery wrap or something along those lines, but still, you've got some people that love what you do, that follow you, that want to buy something that's $40. They'll say like, hey, I support you right now. I don't have $1,000 to spend on your art, but I got $40 to get a tote bag that I can take to the beach with me. That's kind of cool, right? So I'm a big believer in it for a number of different reasons that we can get into. But yeah, tell me a museum that doesn't have a gift shop, right? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, it helps fuel what Charles was talking about, the word of mouth, right? Of other people, someone going, hey, where did you get that? Who drew that? Whose art is that? Absolutely. Those conversations are killer to help you drive traffic.
Yeah.
So, and then even on the SEO thing, just so you guys know, like Pat said, it's kind of had its day in the sun, but to the point we don't want you guys really messing with it as much. We actually just wrote an algorithm where it'll just automatically, like with our websites, just SEO it for you. So you guys don't even need to waste time with it at all.
Yeah, which is always usually helpful. Now you got to just get back to convincing the wife, Mark. I'm gonna we got you covered. We got you covered on everything else, but I can't help you in that department.
That's a head scratcher. They usually love that. I think Angela's jealous herself. She's like, man, I want that deal.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one more. Suppose I get her to let me get started on the first level. I mean, I want to get to 2,700 because some of her work would do well with interior design, and she works for architects now, and I know what they buy, you know, when they're planning buildings for interiors, and her stuff would work very nicely with that function that you have where you can actually size it to a room, stage it a bit.
Oh, you haven't even seen the we have one way cooler than that. While you're talking, I'll go find it. But we have one now. We just released it because we get a bunch of requests from the interior designer style. Here, hold on. So you could now, our little system will scan all of your work, everything that you have in your collection, and then it allows the interior designers to come in and isolate by color. And so you can search based on the colors that are in the images. And so it's like, you know, if an interior designer is planning something and like looking for a maroon, something that will match well with maroon or like a maroon palette, then they can just browse by color and do that too. So we just released that. It doesn't really work on this guy's site because he's got some photographs that are pretty simple, but I'm pretty fired up about that. It's killer for interior designers. Like, oh, you know, just to let you know, it's like a really good opener too. Just to let you know, if you are looking to, you know, quickly outfit a room and some of my stuff works and you want to see what matches up, here you go, right? And it's just like another feature. We got all kinds of these features, but it's just another one.
The question though is if I get started on the first level to get something going and start following your playbook. I mean, I'm sure other people have done this. Typically, what's it take for them to move to the next level and then the top tier? What you've experienced.
I mean, Joseph, that's
you can upgrade at any time. If that's
right.
Yeah.
You got to, you know, to get her to let me get started, you know, I'm going to do the working like this, but can I see results on the first level of our storefront so that I can have some success and that funds the next level and the final level?
Yeah. I mean, that's ultimately what those plans are for, those options. I mean, our intention is for you to have every tool at your disposal to help you get as many sales as we can. And that's the high end. It's just all the features, you get all the future features. But yeah, that's not in everybody's budget. And, you know, maybe somebody needs to start with a few less tools and, you know, upgrade. You can, that's what it's for. You can space it out a little bit at your discretion. But yeah, our base option, you can almost call it essentials. It's like the marketing plan, the workshops, you know, for our members, the e-commerce where people can buy your art, print on demand, you know, the merch, like a lot of those core things are on any level. Image security to protect the art, like that stuff's on any level. And obviously you can be successful with those key parts. Just maybe some bells and whistles you can add later.
Yeah, well, I would add them by all means by, you know, Black Friday if I could get involved. And how long does it take to get started once you buy in?
14 days or less.
Yeah, generally 14.
You're 100%. You should be up and running and ready in 14 days or less. I mean, the thing is, everyone thinks like we're a little different. Everyone thinks like, oh my gosh, I got to build a website, I got to design all this stuff and pick my fonts and colors and all. You're not doing any of that goofy nonsense. Okay, you're uploading your images. Yep. You're uploading an about me section. You're uploading a logo, and you're starting your marketing because you have a marketing problem. But in terms of ROI, Mark, it's a crystal ball question. It's completely different for absolutely everybody, right? And there's no rhyme or reason to it. Some people hit it right out of the park in the first 2 weeks. Some people it takes a year to get going, and then everything in between. And there's thinking that like there's some sort of guaranteed roadmap that works for every person. I'd be a snake oil salesman if I told you that, right? And
I buy that. Yep. Yeah. No, I realize that. Just wondering how many people start with the essentials and then
a bunch.
Move through.
A bunch. I'm literally looking at, so what happens when you're doing one of these streams and trying to think if there's a way. I can't screen share this, but it's from our private Facebook group, right? And the minute you show a Facebook stream or Facebook like inside of the thing, I don't want to get into why I can't show it. But here's the post. Question for artists who have transitioned from the bronze package to the more expensive ASF site. Do you find that your sales increased when the site you added the room mockup AR preview tools? I'm considering upgrading. And people are chiming in. I'd love to know. I signed up for those features from the beginning, so I cannot compare. Yes, I'd like to know as well. I bet it matters more on how we are doing with our marketing. God, I love that answer. Exactly right. And then, you know, people are chiming in every single solitary way, right? And then you get a guy like this. Stacy's like, the live preview AR feature paid my site for 5 years in the first 6 months, right? That feature is not on the bronze level. I highly recommend it. Now, is she a one-off? What did she even do there? I don't know what she did, right? I mean, yeah, there's a great success story of like she had the feature and she killed it, but there's a bunch of people that won't do that, right? And that's just how it goes. There's just no one roadmap that just works for everybody. And anyone that tells you that it is so full of it, because everyone comes in with a different set of circumstances, advantages, disadvantages that are unique to them. And, you know, you just get on with it and you get going. The important thing, the thing that I like out of you is that you realize like, hey, you got to start marketing right away, right? There's no shortcut to that. And you never lose on the marketing ever. Even if like it doesn't work with art storefronts, like you're at least moving the business forward rather than having it sit in a set of stasis. You're never going to know otherwise, right? You'll never know otherwise. Your wife's not going to go out and start selling that stuff, right? She'd be doing it already if she did. So yeah.
That's right. That's very, very true. Okay. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I'm going to stick with it and make it happen.
Yep. I'm a fan too. I still want you to convince her before you think about it though.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, you know, if I have to convince my wife to something, I have to use all sorts of tradecraft and treachery. I'm just kidding, honey. Just kidding.
What's her bigger hesitation? Has she sold her art at all?
No, she hasn't even tried. She creates art and she's got some stuff that's unique about what she does. She's eclectic. There's a lot of variety on her website. She does have a website, but there's no effort to try and merchandise anything or even draw our attention to it. It's just her own personal gallery. We're in the museums. We are in the process of selling our house and moving to Florida in a motorhome, and then we're going to buy down there. And we'll have more time eventually, I think, for her to do art. And you know, I know you got to get started. If you don't ever pull the switch and get started, you're never going to go anywhere. So
exactly right.
I'm intending to try and push this through. And I'm using what you're teaching me as levers. Those are my trade crafts, as Patrick said.
Right.
You know, it's you guys. I believe you tell the truth. I think you're serious. And if you have 5,500 members who don't really compete with each other, they're selling their own unique products, and that's a pretty good testimonial right there, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, tell her this is a good time of year to test it.
Yep.
The fourth quarter, more people on their phones, more people online, more people shopping.
More people have to spend money. They have to spend money.
Yep.
You
got to go somewhere.
Meet the season.
That's right. Well, good luck, Mark. I'm rooting for you any which way you slice it.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, brother. Okay, Charles, you have your hand up. I'm going to prioritize Camille because she hasn't asked a question yet. Then I'll get yours. Then I'll see the ones that are in the chat. And then I love this commercial photographer question. I want to answer that, Joseph. So let me know who that was so that we can unmute him and bring him on. So Camille, it'll go to you, and then Charles will circle back.
Okay. This is a great program, by the way. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm just getting started. I have a question regarding pixelation.
Yes.
So say someone likes an image that I have, but they want a certain size. How do you deal with the pixelation?
So you're a painter, I'm assuming, right?
Painter, I do collage work as well.
Yeah, that's okay. So you get the thing photographed, okay, or scanned, however you do it. You upload to our system, and our system tells you instantaneously how big it can go, and you can't go any bigger than that. So there's no pixelation.
Yeah, it's not going to let you offer something that would be not like a high res file or like a high quality image. Okay. If it's going to be pixelated, it won't even offer it as a size.
No. Yep.
So it's easy. I made it easy for you.
Yeah, you did. But that's done on your end, or is it on my end?
Through the store, when you upload the product.
You'll say how
So-
big it can go.
Yeah, it's nice. Like someone said they had like a Wix site earlier. I think it was Charles. You know, with what you're doing, you'd have to figure out the size and then every single size all the way up until, yeah, it doesn't work anymore. Here we do it for you. You'll upload it. It'll take the aspect ratio, populate the sizes based on the size, and
Yeah.
then it'll just cut off and won't let you offer anything bigger or past.
Okay,
It's a
okay.
quality
Excellent.
image.
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Mel. All right, go ahead again, Charles, and then we'll get into the chats.
So yeah, thanks for the second question round.
No worries, no worries. No one else has their hand up. You're all good.
In the UK, I understand you have a slightly different pricing model, and I just wondered whether there's also that tiered system that.
No, we don't, Joseph. We don't have
sounds like
we don't have a different pricing model for the UK, do we?
No, we just don't have the financing options of the lower ones. Like I said, we only have the one plan. It's the top plan. We just made some ways here so people could kind of financially break it up. We just don't really offer the financing over internationally. But yeah, it's the same price. So like the same promotion we have going on is available for you, where you could start on the high end at the, what is it, one time $26.99 and then $59 a month. And you get a discount for the conversion. So
Okay.
Charles, you're not selling prints though. You're just selling originals, right?
Just originals, 3D objects on the canvas.
On the canvas with magnets, which is crazy. Do these things break ever?
Well, I've made it out of a rubber, so they're all flexible. So even if you drop the spike, it's all fine.
Got it.
What I was going to ask is, because at the moment with Wix, they have static pages and they have a limit of 100. And I didn't realize that when I first signed up to Wix. And so they do have something called dynamic pages, but I feel I'm going to have to just learn everything from scratch again. And so that's why I'm sort of looking around to see what's out there.
Yeah, I mean, with us, like, you know, you have a marketing problem. Full stop. Just like everyone on this call does. So the most valuable thing that you're going to get out of our software is the fact that you have a marketing problem, right? Like you're only selling originals. So no matter what happens when you sell a piece, you have to ship it, right? So it's not like we're going to give you a foothold into the States because you're not selling any prints unless you started selling merchant prints. You sort of have to decide on that. But the biggest help that we would do for you is help you get more awareness to your product, which is what you sorely need, which is what every single solitary person on this call needs. Everyone has a marketing problem. Step number 1, realize you have the problem. What part of the UK are you in, just out of curiosity?
Sorry, just outside of London.
Yeah. My wife lived in Chelsea for a little while. And obviously, you know, you're right next to Cobham, and I have to be a Chelsea fan. And why? I mean, Christian Pulisic's there. Okay, so I'm watching all the time. That's how it goes.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. He lives where like all the Chelsea players, like they all live in Surrey, or a lot of them anyway.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Well, so
Yeah,
there you go.
I'm an Arsenal fan if I had to be.
Yeah.
Actually, no. What do I mean? Yeah, Tottenham. You can see how much of a football fan I really am.
No, I mean you're an
I
artist.
absolutely love
Yeah.
football, and I kind of just sort of go around the topic and talk about other things.
Yeah, 100%. And that's totally okay. But yeah.
But can I ask a quick question, just in general, out of all the data you have about your artists, how many sort of like originals would someone on average sell every year?
Yeah, it's what's so interesting about it. Like everyone has a different journey, right? And you know, one of the things that you so badly want to do, and you so badly want to do as a marketer, and you know, this is what's just so fascinating, is like we will lock in and study everything. When I say study everything, like my whole team meets on it. Who's selling the most originals? Top 10 people selling the most originals, top 15 people selling the most originals. What are the sizes? What are the price points, right? How are they selling them? How many sales are they having a year? How many people do they have on their email list? How many Facebook fans? How many Instagram followers? And I have to ask my wife. My wife has a PhD in statistics. I should ask her like what the statistical term is, why you cannot, there's no rhyme or reason out of it. But we got a guy that's got 1.3 million followers on Instagram. And then we got a gal that's got 4,500 followers on Instagram. Their email lists are the same. And the gal is selling 10x what the guy is selling. And he's like a household name. I don't have an explanation for that, Charles. I have zero explanation for that, why that works. But sometimes there's too many variables in the equation. There's the personality of the human. There's the niche that they selected, right? There is how diehard the people are in that niche, how effective they are at their marketing, right? What circumstances that they came into it with, right? And there's no rhyme or reason to it. There's the point is that there's not, and this was part of the advice I gave to Mark. If there was some sort of strategy, a roadmap that I could pull out of it and say, use this and you'll get this result, we'd be $100 million company. There's not. It's hard. All I can say is every artist has a marketing problem. Every single solitary one, 99 out of 100 has a marketing problem. And you know what every artist does? They go and work on every other problem that they have, right? None of which is marketing. You want to know why? Because none of you guys want to do marketing. You all hate marketing, okay? I get that. But that's where all the leverage is. And so what we do as a business fundamentally is we teach you to market, and then we hold you accountable when you don't market, and then we scream and shout at you when you don't market, and then we encourage you when you're down, and then we do poking and prodding, and then we scream at you again, and everything else, and incentivize you, because it's the only way that your business is going to grow year over year, right? So what I can tell you is, I know conclusively from being in this industry as long as I have, if I take an artist that is passed the Does My Art Sell test, I've sold my art to people not named mom, dad, brother, sister, family, friends, to strangers, okay? The minute you have gotten past that, you cease having a will my art sell test, and you now have, I have a marketing problem, okay? You move into I have a marketing problem. And do you know when that ends? Never. Never ends. It never ends. You want to know why? Because almost every single solitary artist out there, solopreneur, right? You don't have a team, which means you're going to be the one doing the marketing. Turns out art doesn't sell itself. Okay, you constantly need to be doing it. And guess what happens? You go from a hobby to a side hustle. You go from a side hustle to something with decent income. You go from having decent income. Should I quit my job? No, don't quit your job. Keep pouring money into the business. Then you go from, oh my gosh, it's almost time to quit my job. Do not quit your job. Keep pouring that money into the business. Then you quit your job. Then you're a full-time artist, or perhaps you're working and you want something for retirement. Doesn't matter. You still want that business to continue to go up and up and up and up. So is there some sort of magical roadmap? No. But there is. It's called working on your marketing consistently 52 weeks a year. Your English, you're going to take off a month, fine. 49 weeks a year, 48 weeks a year, right? So that's it. That's it. And if you do that, and you do that consistently, you win. And if you don't, which is 99 out of 100, you don't. That's it. That's it. And I can see Charles in his mind. So he's like, so I have to do the marketing consistently. But what if I went, second you said, but what if you went and did, you already lost. You're not going to do it consistently because no one ever does it. I mean, I know this too well. I've been doing this for too long. So anyway, that's what we do.
The parts I really don't like is having to, so obviously I'll have to take the photos, but actually doing the legwork of uploading it and, I don't know, adjusting it, and everything's really slow. So that to me is the real tedious.
No,
I'd like to outsource that as quickly as possible when I can afford it.
Yes, that part's really easy to do, and there's some parts you're going to hate that you can outsource. But yes, the capturing emails all year long, you have to do that. The emailing the emails all year long, you have to do that. The learning how to omni-channel market, you have to do that. How your message on email dovetails with your message on the socials such that you get the most attention and try to get that person away from the cat video, okay? How to run a sale, how to contemplate running a sale, what times a year to run a sale, all the mechanics therein, okay? That takes a while to learn, right? How to run a live art show, maximize this little video thing that we're talking about, right? Like all of these are things that you need to fundamentally learn. And then once you learn them, you need to do them on a regular basis. I accidentally muted you, so you're going to have to hit your mic again.
No, that's fine. I've taken up far too much of your time. Thank you.
That's all good. I appreciate it. They're fun questions. Okay, I'm going to go into the chat. Joseph, who is the commercial photographer? I want to answer that one. Someone was asking how we're different from Fazo. Fazo is just a website that tells you that they give you marketing advice, which, by the way, do you know how much they have copied our website, Fazo, in the last couple of years? It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm not taking a knock. I'm not taking a knock at Fazo. Okay, I don't care. You can't catch me when I'm moving 100 miles an hour, right? Like because you put some language on your website that says you're all of a sudden teaching people to market. Give me a break. It's flattering. Okay, it's flattering. Run a live art show, then come talk to me. But we teach you how to market all year long. That's the difference. Okay, and it's a significant difference. So that's how we're different from Fazo. Okay, yes.
Yeah, it was Michael had asked about that.
Let me see if I can find Michael. All right, Michael, I'm unmuting because I want to talk to you about this. And so,
Okay.
so your issue with not posting to the socials and being a commercial
Maybe I can
photographer
explain it.
is worrying that your images will somehow get ripped off on the interwebs and get reproduced, and you will not get fairly compensated. Is that correct?
No.
Oh,
I mean, that's part of it. The issue is terms of service of Facebook and Instagram. You are granting them a non-exclusive in perpetuity license to commercialize the work you post, and they do not have to pay you or recognize your intellectual property or otherwise acknowledge that that is your work they're using. That's a big problem for me, which is why I don't post anything on Facebook. And how do you tell this to your artists that this is a potential issue for them?
So year in, year out, all of the biggest art surveying websites, there's two huge reports. One is called the Hiscox report. One is called the Art Market Report by UBS and Art Basel.
Mhm.
And year in, year out, every single solitary one of those platforms, or both of those reports cite for the last 10 years that the two most important social media sites towards selling art of photography are Facebook or Instagram. So your opinion is that Facebook and Instagram, in addition to everything else that it's doing, is taking the work from artists and photographers, reproducing it and selling it and making a profit? Is that it?
That you are granting them the right to do that, not that they do that, but you're granting them the right to do that. And doesn't that diminish the value of your artwork over time?
Michael, you have hundreds of problems to get this business where you want it to be. This is not one. This is not one. The fact that Facebook and Instagram have rights to your work in perpetuity is not one. It's just not a problem. And no, I've not heard of that ever happening. I don't think that will ever happen. I think that is the sky is falling type of situation. I've never heard of anyone getting ripped off like that in any capacity whatsoever. I think the lawsuit that you would have if Facebook or Instagram started selling your work or using it in their television commercials or anything else along those lines, let alone they wouldn't even want the press or the PR. So that is just, I mean, it's a non-issue. That thing is dead on arrival, brother. Not a thing in the slightest.
Yeah.
And worst case scenario, if you're that paranoid about it, which you shouldn't be, watermark everything you do.
Yeah. Upload it with a watermark on your name on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's those little dots with that information. Even if you did like a live art show locally, where when you walk in and you walk past the sign that says, hey, if you're walking in here, we can take a picture of you and use it on our email or whatever they want to do for marketing that festival or whatever you're at. It's the same kind of thing. And it's just online, Facebook, Instagram. So, but like Pat said, if they did that, they don't want that headache. They don't want the kickback from that. So yeah, no one's having any problems with that.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. We get versions of that all the time, but I could just imagine Mark Zuckerberg steepling his fingers and waxing his mustache from his 65-acre Hawaii hideout, riding around on his hydroplane, going, the next person that I'm going to screw are the artists and photographers. Like, no, it is not happening. It is not happening. And I'm not saying it's not an unfounded concern on your part. Like, I get it, and I'm sure it's there in the fine print, but those things infuriate me because then you sit there and you don't take advantage of the two greatest platforms ever to expand your career and sell your art. And it's just, I've never heard of anyone getting ripped off. Everyone tells me that, like, I'm not going to put my stuff on the internet at all because people are going to download it and reproduce it. And it's like, do you have any idea how damn difficult this business is? Do you think there are people running around downloading things on the internet and reproducing them? Like, this is a really hard business. This is not the one to be doing that on, right? Like, no. But yeah, you don't need to worry about it, Michael. You've got the commercial business going on, which is wonderful. You want to start building the fine art part, and like, look, that takes time, right? It takes time to get that going on, and unfortunately, right now, Facebook and Instagram have all the attention. If they didn't, there's something else. There's somewhere else we could go. But right now, they've got it, and we're sort of beholden to them to take as much of it as we can for ourselves. So that's what I would say. What else, guys? Questions? I want to see if I missed anything in the chat. We should mention too, we have a huge sale. That's it's the end of the month, so it ends Thursday, right? Is the end of the week Thursday?
Yep, Thursday's it. So yeah, good time. I mean, good time to kind of cover all pricing, and yeah, got a promotion. So our base option, I think I guess Mark mentioned, has a one-time activation. Generally it's $17.50, but we have that knocked down to $1,000 right now that you can start there, and then $44 a month ongoing. On the higher end, generally the regular price is $4,000. That's what's knocked down to the $26.99 at the moment, and then it's $59 a month ongoing. Again, the higher end is just everything. That's really our plan, and our intentions for you to have every feature, bell and whistle. That's not in everybody's budget. So we have options where you can basically kind of break that up, start as low as the 1,000, start with a few less like features, and then, just kind of pay the difference to upgrade if you need to spread it out a little bit. But yeah, good time, obviously, with the deal, but with the fourth quarter here, Christmas, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, we just want to make sure you're all equipped to know exactly what to do for the marketing. Because I think someone asked, or said, it's hard to come up with content every single day. Part of what you get on any level is a plan that Pat and his team build and tell you literally every day what you can do with the content and with the idea. And here's the email template, and here's an example of what your post should look like for all of the Black Friday and everything. So it's really nice. It's a really great value, and it's a really good service to help you guys if you really want to get your art out there, especially before the end of the year, because we blink and we're already here. But good time to get started. So if anybody has any questions, just pop in here. Someone on my team will reach out, or obviously you can put in a demo request as well. But if you just want to pop in, we'll have somebody reach out.
Yeah, we should say too, it's not abundantly clear what separates us from everyone else, out there. And I'll get into that in a second. Practically speaking, the demo, this little presentation today, is number one, that pyramid is really important. I believe that fundamentally you need to be running that if you want to be successful. That's number one. Number two, you get to meet us on video and see whether or not we know what we're talking about. Up to you. We could be out to lunch. I think Michael's taken off because he's upset about my commercial photography. I'm kidding, Michael. I'm kidding. Number three, what sets us apart from everyone else? You can go get a website anywhere. Everyone's already done that. A lot of people have done that a whole bunch of times. First, you start with Wix, and then you go to Weebly, and then you get to GoDaddy, and then you upload to Fazo, and then you go here, you go there, you upload to the marketplace. And what changes in your business when you do that? Nothing. Nothing ever changes in the business. Why? Because you don't have a website problem. None of you guys have a website problem. You all have a marketing problem. And until you fix that, you're never going to have a business. You're going to have a hobby. And we looked at our business, and we're like, we have the best artist and photography websites on the entire net right now. This is awesome, right? We're going to be incredible. No, because if you don't have successful customers, you don't have a business. You have a bunch of people that are canceling all day. So then we're like, okay, how are we going to create successful customers? Well, let's look into that. Turns out none of them are marketing. None of them are marketing consistently. They've never marketed consistently their entire lives. They hate marketing. They find it insanely technical. They need to be taught how to do it step by step. They need to be encouraged along the way. They're all solopreneurs. Being an entrepreneur is a roller coaster. So you got to provide support. You got to provide encouragement. You have to teach step by step, and you can never stop because it's the only way you keep the business growing. So that's the difference. That's what we do. We're a trainer at the end of the day, right? It's like you can look, don't get me wrong. There's lots of trainers out there, and they all post their workouts online. You can follow them. Just go follow that workout, right? How does that work out for you? We're not going to follow somebody's workout, right? You're going to do 2% of it, right? And you're going to be like, I'm tired, I quit. No, you need to have somebody with the whistle and the stopwatch and keeping you accountable and saying, where are you? It's 8 a.m. on Monday. Let's go. It's time to work out, right? So we are. The trainer analogy really just works for me, whether you've ever worked out with one or not. But they scream and they yell at you, and you paid them money. And so you can't miss, and they hold you accountable, and they never stop, right? And that's that accountability is just so critically important. But what else? Questions, guys? I can only harass the ones with the cameras on. So Diana, Yazi, Jill doesn't look like she's driving. She's parked. So you guys have questions. All you have to do is just kind of say hi. We'll get into the questions. All right, Jill. All right, I'm unmuting you, Jill.
Hey.
Hi.
One question.
Yeah.
I know that you guys take a 15% commission on prints. Does that include your print costs that you guys have if I do print on demand with you, or do you have your printing cost and then an additional 15%?
Yeah, so that is separate. Basically, the way the print on demand, this is a good question for everybody to kind of understand how it's just even pricing works. So it's just like he said, Guten's, for the merch, we have different printers. And so that you just actually pay the cost to the printer for the material, like the straight wholesale cost, and then you mark it up to what you want to charge. So we generally recommend like a 250% margin is like a good starting point. And our system, again, like we populate the sizes, it can populate the pricing for you based on whatever percent you want. And so then, yeah, so you just pay the cost to the printer of what it costs and then mark it up. And so, yeah, we do have smaller transaction fees. The 15% is actually the highest we have, and that's when you start on the entry level. And then those numbers actually get lower and lower as you go up to the high end. So like the high end, for example, it's a lower 10%.
Okay.
And then
Gotcha.
we also have wholesale orders too, which you don't pay any of that. You just ship it to yourself, and that's how you get like inventory for shows, or if you're doing a live art show, or you're doing the show and Thayer circuit, or anything along those lines. And we should also say too, we're because we're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, we have more combined buying power now. So a lot of times you're getting, not on 100% of the items, but on a great deal of items, you're getting a lower price than you could just walking off the street into any printer, right? So a little bit cheaper prices on canvas, a little cheaper prices on metal, on acrylic, on a couple of the others. So that's a cool thing too.
Yeah, like some of our printers are doing 15% off for all of our customers right now on their prints.
Oh, yeah,
So
we do that all the time too.
Yeah, so you'll just get a better deal and a better rate on the prints in general as well, which is nice. And then anytime you order, like Pat said, through the back end, if you need some inventory just for yourself, or someone asked you for a piece, you can order that at cost, and we don't have transaction fees for that either. Our transaction fees only if John Smith came to your website and said, hey, I'm just going to buy a piece and ship it. So.
Gotcha. Okay, so I have a wholesale market because I sell some of my artwork to galleries at a wholesale price.
Mm-hmm.
So would there be anything as I'm setting up my website that I could have the retail market, like, I'm selling to John somewhere, but then I'm also selling to several different galleries. And if you guys printed it or I even printed it, would there be a place for me to have just for retail art gallery and a wholesale market under your
obviously hidden the wholesale market hidden from the public, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you could totally do that. I mean, would it need to be password protected, or would you just hide the links?
Probably password protected so that not everybody can get on that. Because I want my galleries to be able to see that, because we sell at a separate price for that than I do the average retail customer.
Yeah, so you can password protect categories, so only those people can get in there with that code. But a lot of our artists, I think what they do to make it even easier is just give them, it's just the same with designers. They'll just give them like a locked in code that they can plug in at checkout to just give them a permanent kind of discount. And a lot of times that's even easier.
Okay. I'm all about easy.
There you go.
I think easy, like we don't like, I literally made a note, okay, to start highlighting this on Friday. Like, the fear of setting up a website for most artists and photographers, massive. The fear for learning all the marketing, massive. The fear for having to do it on, like, we need an easy button. We need an art storefront's easy button, despite the fact I hate that campaign, the easy button.
Yeah.
And then Hillary Clinton like gave one to the Russians, and now it's like politically charged. What we need conceptually, like, this is as easy as it gets, step by step, and just walk you through the whole thing. And what I said earlier is so funny, because we have a Facebook group, right? And we call it Small Wins, and it's like our private Facebook group. And you're supposed to post your wins in there so we can all celebrate collectively. You're supposed to ask your marketing questions in there. You're not supposed to do support in there, but that's a really hard thing we haven't figured out, because sometimes people just like post a support thing and then like, oh, I've had that problem, I'll help you fix it, but I don't really want support in there. Do you know what like 40% of the posts are in there? Encouragement. It's just encouragement. Like, it's just encouragement. Like, hey, I just released a new thing. Can you check this out and see this is awesome? And the whole bunch of people are like, hey, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. So easy and encouragement, I think, is the primary, like, like recipe that like it takes, because it's hard. I mean, you sound like you have a big operation. How many employees do you have, Jill?
It's me and my husband right now,
See?
But we've had a lot of different employees in the past, but it's just me and my husband right now. So, but I'm looking to take online to the next level. So that's what I'm excited about. So yeah. I'm glad that I've run across you guys.
Yeah.
And it's easy.
Yeah.
And the marketing, the day-to-day marketing sounds really, really good.
The day-to-day marketing is so important. And then too, on the printing, like, it's been really fun, because, again, 5,500 customers, all of a sudden you can keep going back to your suppliers and renegotiating, right? And
Mhm.
so the two printers that we work with on the West Coast, it's Bay Photo, and on the East Coast, or I think they're in Georgia or somewhere, is called Graphic Dimensions, right? And what's amazing is when you partner with companies that are that big, like they have all the bells and whistles, right? They have more
Mhm.
printers, more hours, more ink, all of that. If there's ever a problem, they replace it in 2 seconds. But to not have to touch any of that at all, meaning the order comes in, money hits your account, money hits the printer's account, printer prints it, printer boxes it, printer puts your logo on the side of the box, printer ships it. All of the emails are handled. You touch nothing,
Right.
right? And that's all time you're going to give back to me, Jill, to work on your number one problem, the marketing problem, right? Like that is such a leg up to have in this business, not to have to do like any of it. And again, because both of those companies are doing, I don't even know what they do, like $35-50 million a year, the rates that you get on UPS and FedEx, like another dirty little secret, like the shipping is incredible too, right? Like it's you're not going to fundamentally grow your business worrying about the printing. Not going to do that. Like it's just nobody cares. The customers don't know the difference at all, right? So yeah. Anyway, how'd you find us?
You came across social media.
Yep.
On Facebook.
Yep. We definitely do some ads there. But you need to see a demo, see all the bells and whistles. It's cool. It's like a 1-hour Zoom call, and it's somebody from Joseph's team, and they'll walk you through all the ins and outs and everything else. How many different galleries are you in, just out of curiosity?
Probably about 15 right now as far as limited edition prints go, but used to be back in the day when a lot more galleries were around. I live in the state of South Carolina. We would sell to most all the galleries in South Carolina, so it used to be a lot bigger then as far as marketing and everything, but it was a totally different model.
Yeah.
The old school model of mailing catalogs and doing all that, and people don't do that as much now. So I want to do it digitally with y'all's guidance.
You need to, and you need to start building your collector list too, right? Like what size is your collector list right now versus what size should it be? I mean, you've probably sold what, tens of thousands of pieces at this point in time? Do you have tens of thousands of people in your database that you know about your art? Probably not.
No.
I
get enough on that, honestly. So
I know. So we need to fix that too.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah. We'll reach out to you, Joe. We can help you for sure.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Okay, David asked a wonderful question. I love this question, and so I'm going to answer it. And David, I'm going to unmute you too, just in case there's follow-ups. And so David's asking, how much time a week do you recommend spending on marketing? And the beautiful thing about this question is, first of all, it's a crystal ball question at the end of the day, right? Like, that you're not asking it in the crystal ball fashion, but underpinning your question is the premise of like, how many hours a week am I going to have to spend on marketing to make this thing successful, right? And what I know from my vantage point is, everyone's got a different amount of time they can devote to it. 80% of our customers, full-time jobs, pretty much. 20% full-time artists. So some have more time than others to spend on it. But what matters is not how many hours a week you have to give me. It's giving it to me 50, 49 weeks a year, which no one ever does. That's what moves mountains. That's what fundamentally changes the business. And what ends up happening, David, is like, let's just say you decide, you come on board and you're like, I got 3 hours a week to give you, Patrick, but I'll give it to you consistently. And I'm going to be like, awesome. I'll take those 3 hours, David, give them to me. Somewhere around like month 4 or 5, something happens, and it's always different. In some cases, it's a big sale. In some cases, you won an award. In some cases, you got picked up in the local newspaper. In some cases, somebody found you and bought 6 pieces for a vacation house. But what that ends up doing is it ends up filling up the emotional gas tank, okay, that is in control of those hours. And then all of a sudden, the 3 that you were giving me, I'm like, David, what's going on? How are you getting all this done? You're like, yeah, I'm giving it 6 now. And I'm like, when did that happen? And it's like the wins just power our motivation in that capacity. And it always happens like that. Sometimes it happens really early. Sometimes it happens a little bit later. In my experience, it happens when you're at your absolute lowest, right? And you want to like quit and you're pulling your hair out of your head and then you get a win. And it's like, I'm in the game. So that's how it goes. But there's no magic number. But, no one you've never done it consistently in your life. No one has ever done it consistently in their life. And if they have, they've not done it on the high ROI activities, which we know, right? We keep you from doing the knucklehead stuff. So the hours that you give me are going to be maximum ROI, maximum impact.
Yeah, because I know how much I hate it.
Everyone does. Everyone does, for sure.
I love it.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's just.
I mean, like Pat said, though,
I know myself well at this point. So
step one is realizing you have a problem, right?
I think you're speaking for the room. I think a lot of people, if we took a poll in here right now, a lot of people would kind of raise their hand and say, I don't like it. It's awkward. I've never been good at it. And I get it. I mean, that's not something they taught. It can be awkward. We've had full-time marketers, like that's their day job, come on board and be like, this is awkward. Like, I'm not good at marketing myself. So you're not alone. And that's the thing here. Just make it easier, right? Give you a guide, tell you what you should be doing and what the context is and what the text should look like. And it saves you time. Like most people, you work all day, you come home or you create all day, you want to sit down and write an email from scratch and figure out your subject line. No, nobody wants to do that. So here, we've done a lot of that legwork for you, or at least Pat's team has, and prepped it. And so once you start doing it, it's a lot faster, and so that 2-3 hours, if you can do that a week, one, like you said, it compounds, but you'd be surprised how much you can get done when a lot of the materials have already been prepped for you and there's a plan.
And it's what we show in the demo too, but it's like, we give you a calendar that shows you what to do 365 days a year, right? When to run a sale, what to do this week, what to do that week, what to post on social. If we're asking you to run a sale, we'll give you email language that you could just copy, paste, tweak a little bit to your style. If we're asking you to do something you've never learned how to do before, there is step-by-step education, okay? That video, audio, here's how to do this, here's how to go live on Facebook, here's how to go live on Instagram, here's how to run a live art show, here's how to do this, here's how to run Facebook ads, here's how to do a Facebook post, here's how to do Instagram stories. We have all that. In addition to that, we take the entire customer base and we put you in class 2 days a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and you come out on a Zoom session like this and we teach what we're talking about on the calendar and we offer the emotional support and we go through all these various different things. And the people that are really successful, okay, are the ones that understand, that have tried to do marketing on their own, right? And then they show up and they're like, oh my gosh, there is a marketing plan. There is all the education of what I need to be doing. There are what we call playbooks. There's actual coaching. There's 6-day-a-week support if I get stuck. If I get stuck on Facebook, I can go and talk to somebody. They'll get me unstuck on Facebook. So too on Instagram. So too on MailChimp. So too on the software. All of that.
I hate MailChimp.
Everyone does. And it never stops. Right? Like, once you try to do some of that on your own and shoulder that burden on your own is when you realize how powerful it is to have a little bit of help there, right? It's like you need help, you need support in that endeavor. And we're hitting our stride now because we're year like 7 in business, and we're really starting to get like scary because when you have the data, what I tell you to do in a marketing capacity, equally important there is what I tell you to ignore. And I know you can ignore it because no one's making any money doing that, right? And that's a powerful thing, right? Because we are all so subject to the damn shiny objects. Oh, I heard this works. Let's go over there and waste a bunch of time on that and nothing will ever happen, right? Like, nope. I'm like, this is your lane. Stay in this lane. I know this lane works. I keep getting signals that a ton of art and photography is being sold if you stay in this lane. Stay in this lane, right? And so when you stay away from the shiny objects, oh my gosh, all the time that you spend is just forward, growing the business. And that's all we want. Sorry, you got me ranting there.
That's all right.
All right. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah. Gotta give me those hours consistently, David. Gotta give me those hours consistently. That's what I got there, Joseph. What do you got?
I guess that's about it. I don't know if anybody has any other questions, but yeah, happy fourth quarter, everybody. Excited to see what you can do. Obviously, if you want to come on board and use our tools, hopefully make it easier for you and help you out. And if not, I just encourage everybody to get in the game. I mean, really, it's the best time to build following.
Best time to run sales, best time to have a product on the market. I say this all the time in these things, and I'll sort of close with this, and if you guys come up with any other questions, great. But when I was a kid, and I'm 42, we used to live in a civilized society, right? Where we would all enjoy Thanksgiving with our families. English Tom, I'm sorry, I don't know what you guys do out there. I don't think you celebrate Thanksgiving. My wife, when she lived in England, we used to like do Thanksgiving at a pub in Chelsea. Actually, I'm getting on a tangent, but anyway, we used to have Thanksgiving. Okay, and the day after Thanksgiving was Black Friday, and that's when everyone would go shopping. Okay, and that was it. You'd have a nice weekend. You'd procrastinate on your Christmas shopping. You'd have Christmas, New Year, fantastic. Then what happened? Somebody invented Cyber Monday, and then all of a sudden, the Monday after the Friday became some sort of big selling thing where you have to look at the deals, and everyone's getting whipped into a frenzy and buy. Then what happened? Some brand, some company, some merchant was like, you know what I'm going to do this year? I'm going to have my Black Friday sale a week ahead of time. And if I do that, I'll get to all those dollars before everyone else will. And then what happened the next year after that? 500 different people moved their sale up the week. And a couple of those people were like, that guy moved it up 1 week last time. I'm going to move it up 2 weeks. And now October 1st starts, by which I mean Friday. The marketing starts. We roll into Halloween, and then boom, it's Blitzkrieg all the way to the end of the year, all the way until the drop dead date where you can't ship your product out enough to get under the Christmas tree. That's it.
Yep.
And it's just crazy. So the fourth quarter is the number one time an artist or a photographer should be selling their art, their creations, because it is the single solitary best time all year, and we get real fired up about it. And everything that you see us talk about from now until essentially that drop dead date is going to be how to maximize your efforts for Q4. Camille, you have another question. Go ahead. Are you there, Camille?
There we go.
Gotcha.
Can you hear me?
Yep, gotcha.
Okay. When is the sale, what you said to drop down to $1,000? When does that end?
Thursday. Yeah.
Oh, this Thursday, yeah.
It's
And then it goes
because
back up.
it's the last day of the month.
Right. And then it goes back up to what?
The regular price is $17.50.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like $7.50 off right now. So it's a good savings.
Yeah, it is. It is. Okay.
Thanks, Camille.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we want to see you guys win. We want to see you guys win across the board. And do we know anything about live demos? Do you want to mention that? No, you want to save that for later? We'll save that for later.
We'll save that for later.
Yeah. All right. Good.
But,
all right. Well, good session today. I appreciate you guys. There's a lot of fun questions in there. So we'll send you an email after this whole thing's over in a little bit, and it'll have the replay to this video should you want to watch it again. It will also have links that we mentioned, reports, videos, live art shows, anything that we mentioned in there will be in there. And you know, if this is your first time seeing us, don't worry about it. We're not going anywhere. But if what you saw today piqued your interest enough, you're like, okay, I'm going to take a positive step in my career. This is actually going to be the year. You don't have to do any of that yet, but go and see a demo so you can see all the bells and whistles. It's with somebody on Joseph's team. It'll go like an hour. They'll look at your art. They'll walk you through everything and tailor the presentation to you. And then you at least have all the data points, you know, at your fingers, decide what you want to do this Q4. But the difference between this Q4, the people that succeed and don't are going to be the ones that show up ultimately. It's that simple, and a whole lot don't. And again, don't take that as a sales pitch. You can show up anywhere, but you got to get your art up on a website. The art has to be able to take a credit card so you can sell it, and then you have to start in on some marketing, and then you have to run some sales when the time is right. You do that, you're putting yourself in a position to succeed. You don't do that, you're going to let another Q4 go by, and one potentially in a pandemic, because let me tell you, the last one was huge. So I think we leave it there. Camille, you raised your hand again. I can't tell if I didn't. Did I lower your hand? If we get to lower your hand, I don't know. I don't know if I did or not.
Are there specific, like, I mean, my art is my art. I'm
Yes.
not going to just go in one direction just because it's selling.
No.
But do you have any kind of overall, these things are popular, whether it's animals, paint, I don't know.
It's totally different for everybody. Like
Yeah.
you can, we have some ways of how you think about it and how you approach it, but we stop
Yeah.
at saying like, hey, this is a really, really good thing to do. But I have about 55 different ways of explaining that, how you know,
Okay.
instead of just creating what you want, starting with demand and working backwards, right? Like what everyone does
Yeah.
is they just say, hey, this is what inspires me. I'm going to create it, and I'm going to go see if there's demand. But what if you say, hey, this is where all the demand is. I'm going to go and create that. And you know, that's what I'm going to sell. So we have ways to
Okay.
contemplate that. We have ways to engage in what we call newsjacking, which is really, really interesting, in which you sort of insert yourself into a news topic du jour. I can give a bunch of examples of that, but yes, we walk you through a ton of that from a marketing standpoint. fun stuff,
Okay.
actually.
And you mentioned about the ability to take a credit card.
Yes.
So that's on us. That's not on you.
No, we set you up with all that.
Yeah, it's part
Okay.
of our source.
Yeah.
Okay.
All you have to do though, you have to connect it to your bank account so you can get paid. Definitely recommend that step.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm thrilled to go further with you on this. And I'll see if I can drum up that $1,000 before Thursday.
Yeah, no problem. And you don't need to fill out any forms. We'll have somebody contact you. It's one of the things that we're doing recently,
Okay.
rather than making
Okay,
you
very
go
good.
jump through other hoops. But yeah, I go back to my pyramid thing, which I'm so passionate about, and which I find to be so important. And I really hope you guys take to heart, because what happened last year, right? Last year, all of a sudden, this COVID thing came out of nowhere. And a whole bunch of artists that were doing just fine, a whole bunch of photographers that were doing just fine, that were doing the show and therapy circuit, that were selling in galleries, all of a sudden had the rug completely pulled out from underneath them. No rhyme, no reason to it. And we're in just basically a holding pattern. They were just basically in a holding pattern, because how are you going to sell? You didn't have an email list. You didn't have your art on a website. You didn't keep a collector list. You weren't doing consistent marketing. No one knew you even existed, digitally speaking. Then what happened? Turns out the pandemic put everyone into lockdown. Turns out no one was going to their offices anymore. Turns out people were spending so much time at home that they were finally ready to do something about their home. Turns out that all of the things that they normally could have spent money on, date night, babysitters, restaurants, bars, sporting events, live events, concerts, travel, none of that money was being spent at all. And instead, everyone was just stuck in their home like a prison going, oh my gosh, I never liked the white walls in here. I'm going to finally do something about it. And then all-time high art demand, all of the places where you can buy art and photography down like this, that delta was incredible. The people that were in a position, by which I mean art on a website, could take credit card, we're doing regular marketing. They had the biggest months of their entire careers during COVID, okay? Because they understood that pyramid and how important it was, and how you can truly sell to anyone at any point in time for any reason when you're set up correctly. So, I'm optimistic. I think we've kicked this virus's butt. It needs to go away. It needs to disappear. But if for any reason things get dodgy, when the winter months come and we're in some sort of a state of whatever lockdown, I guess, like, don't be relying on these offline revenue sources. Like, take steps now such that you can sell direct and you control the rules, right? That's just what it is. That's what I got. My story, I'm sticking to it. Joseph, thank you. Everyone else, thank you. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. And we'll see you all again soon. Bye, Yazzie. Bye, Deanna.
Thanks, everybody.
See you guys.